We are continuing on Shaar HaBitachon of Sefer Chovot HaLevavot, and we are, I believe this is the 8th shiur. We are discussing the benefits that a Baal Bitachon has, someone that's truly connected with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, over someone that is truly secure financially. The pinnacle security would be what they believed back in the day, alchemia, a person that could turn a metal to gold, and as we mentioned before, is literally sitting on a gold mine, right? So we have discussed 4 benefits, and we're talking about benefits, physical benefits. You're not talking about the spiritual benefits even. Talk about like having a happy, secure, serene, and calm life ba'olam hazeh, in this world. You're not getting spiritual to see what happens ba'olam haba. Even in this world, a person that's Baal Bitachon lives a higher quality of life than a person that's financially secure, so to speak. Chamishi says, Rabbi Chaim, שבעל הכימיה תחת יראה ופחד על מלאכתו מן הגדול ועד קטון שבעם. A person with that level of financial security, a person with a lot of money, he's always insecure and afraid of everyone. He's afraid of his own shadow. He can't trust anyone. It's a very difficult life to live when you're afraid of every single person that you encounter, because they want my money, they want to kill me. Who knows what they're thinking in their mind, what they're plotting and planning. It's a fearful life. In contrast with a Baal Bitachon, v'aboteach be'elokim yirau ha'gedolim v'nichbedei b'nei adam. He will be respected and revered by people. Imagine the example of this is Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu, v'yamen b'Hashem v'achshaveh alo l'tzedakah. He was the big Baal Bitachon, a big Baal Emunah. The one about whom it says, v'yamen b'Hashem, that he believed in Hashem. He trusted Hashem. And him, when Melech Sodom wants to give him in the entire booty of a war between 5 countries, imagine he would get the goods of 5 countries, all of their money. We talk about tens of billions of dollars equivalent of today's money. All of their avadim v'shfachot, all of their animals and flocks, everything, gold, silver. You can imagine. Jewelry and diamonds, everything. And it says, I'm not taking a shoelace from you. I don't want you to think, to go say, I made Avraham rich. Hashem will make me rich. Avraham was revered by people because of that. He didn't need anybody. When he goes to bury Sarah Imenu, he's going to a stranger's place, Bnei Het. And the way he is greeted by Bnei Het is, Nesi Elohim ata betochenu. You're the Prince of God amongst us. These are people who have never seen him before, who don't believe in his belief system. They're of the Avodah Zarah, they're idol worshippers. But to them, he is a prince. He is revered and respected by all, says the Chovot HaLevavot. And this, by the way, has 2 elements. One is the HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes this happen. HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts the chen, the charm of this person in the eyes of people, just like Hashem did to the Jews right before they come out of Mitzrayim. Vayiten Hashem et chen ha'am beineh. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu put the charm and the respect and love of Klal Yisrael in the eyes of Mitzrayim. They gave all their gold and silver to them. These are people who hated them before, but now they love them. Why? Because Hashem said so. They don't know why they love them. It's a charm. It's a chen, right? Chen is a mystical love, a mystical charm, or grace. They found grace in the eyes of the Egyptians. Why? Because Hashem, the Esther motzet chen be'enei kol ro'ah. The Gemara says Esther was an old woman. Imagine a woman in her 60s and she was green or dark. Well, she was not objectively beautiful, says the Gemara, necessarily. But any nationality, any person on earth that would see her, say, oh, she is Miss Universe. You're talking about actually a physical barometer of beauty, and still people saw beautiful. Why? Because Hashem gave chen to Esther. Hashem will give the chen of a person that's Baal bitachon to the eyes of everyone else. That's one element. But even in a physical analysis, if you want to be psychoanalytic, a person that is confident, people see in you what you see in yourself. If you're insecure, down deep, when you peel off the layers of putting up a face, if deep down you are insecure, people will smell that. People will smell the insecurity. People will smell the fact that you're putting up a show. But a person that is fundamentally boteach b'Hashem, he feels confident. He feels that he doesn't need anybody else in life. That is so attractive. People will feel that too. It's a different energy, you're electrified when you come in contact with a person that is completely bulletproof. He feels bulletproof in front of people. You know, there was this fellow that jumped, it's more than once. This fellow is under influence of alcohol. And he jumped into a lion's den. A lion's enclosure somewhere in the world, in a third world country. So there are more than 1, 2, or 3 lions there. Ferocious lions. And this guy was having fun. Because he was not afraid of them. He was not afraid of them because he was under influence. So he genuinely was not afraid of them. And for the entirety of the time that he was there, and you're talking about, more than 20 minutes, nothing happened. The other guy jumped in the tiger's enclosure, also 2 tigers. He chased them away, actually. Right? Tigers are the most chutzpah animals in the world. But they did not feel any fear. They didn't smell any fear, because there was no fear, because the guy was crazy. He was under influence. But the difference is, down deep, there was no fear there, and the animals felt it. They felt that he was comfortable with himself. He was comfortable in his skin. Now imagine that in the real world, but not under influence of things, under influence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence and bitachon to Hashem. That is infectious. It is the most attractive thing. Even physically, we're talking about, like, psychologically speaking. A person that feels so comfortable because they have Hashem, of a feeling that you can't touch me, of en adam nogea b'muchan lechavero afilu kimlo nima, that a person does not touch what's provided and what's reserved for his friend. Even a hair you cannot take away from me. You feel invincible, untouchable. And that's felt by other people. That's one element, aside from what we said before, that a life spent on appeasing people is a life not lived for yourself. You're living for other people. What kind of quality of life is that? That I come out and have to, appease this person and the other person and the other. There's a whole world out there. If you try to live for other people, you're not living for yourself. Every moment of that, you're not living for yourself. And that's not a quality of life. That's not life. Versus a person that lives with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he stands on his principles. He does not feel that he has to make people happy. And he's not afraid of anyone. People revere him and respect him. Even the inanimate objects, they want his ratzon. We just had this before, right? The Mesilat Yesharim actually explains this whole episode with Yaakov Avinu that puts the 12 stones around his sleeping place, under his, around and under his head. And the Midrashic works explain how there was a fight between the stones, so to speak. Alai yaniach sadik et rosho. Each one of them wanted that Yaakov Avinu should be using it. On me, the Sadiq should lay his head. And Hashem explains, that if you want to explain this, even if they're not really talking, but what we're speaking about is that it's a tikkun for even inanimate objects to be to service of a tzaddik. The whole world aligns itself with a person that's connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in that way. Now, Ari HaKadosh in Shar HaGilgulim has much more to say about this whole stone things. Other areas in the Gemara that we find Tanaim and Amoraim went and sat on different rocks and so on and so forth. Much more depth into what seems to the naked eye as just a story in the Gemara, just a story in Tanakh. But certainly, what is certainly true is that the whole world aligns itself with a person that is connected, truly connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he brings that, what Chazal say in the Mizmor of Tehillim, Sadi Aleph, Yosef Beseter Elyon, Sel Shakayit Lonan, and the Pasuk in Iyov, B'shesh Sarot Yatzileka, B'sheva Lo Yiga Bechara, of how a person that is connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saved and is kept away from any difficulty, and he is given a security likes of which nothing else provides in the world. Vashishi, the sixth element of advantage that this person has, a person connected with Hashem, a Baal bitachon, over a person that is financially secure and he could generate new gold and silver as alchemia. Shebal hakimia eno batuach me'acholaim v'madvim. He's just financially secure, but tomorrow he could die from a heart attack. He could get, cancer. Who knows what's going to come? He could be attacked by a lion, by a dog. He could get into an accident. He could drop dead. Many different ways of damage and demise that could be brought upon him, that his chokhmah of alchemia, his ability to generate money, is not going to save him from those. That even if he is very rich, but he's full of pain, is suffering from sickness, or the fear of death itself, is not going to be gone. It's not going to be cured by just being rich. It doesn't let you benefit and take pleasure from what you have. You can't even enjoy what you have when you're full of fear and pain. Can't enjoy what you have accomplished. But the person that's truly boteach b'Hashem, Batuach min hamadvim v'acholaim. He's also batuach from those unexpected sicknesses and pains. Imagine a person that is worried, thinking about numbers of pancreatic cancer and heart attacks and again, all kinds of things that could go wrong, accidents, and so on and so forth. He goes through life, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult. Because what if this? What if that? What if this? All kinds of things that could go wrong. And he's thinking about all of those, not being able to even enjoy what he has at the moment. He doesn't get to live in the moment and enjoy it. Versus, I have the fortune or misfortune of dealing with people's issues in my capacity, the pastoral capacity, so to speak, And you hear people who are very comfortable, financially speaking, and the fears that they have. The fears are not real even, but full of fears of what if this, what if that. And a person that's Baal bitachon doesn't have any of those fears. Batuach min hamadvim v'acholaim. And even if something happens, it's a kapara. This is a kaparat avonot. Right? One sentence, one phrase that makes everything go away. Even if the difficulties come, they realize this was for a purpose. It doesn't mean that it's haphazard and it's happenstance and who knows what's going to come next. Again, I spoke about one of my family members that debated her, so my sister debated her professor at some point, who was an atheist, about belief, not belief. This is again something that has been debated heavily, even within the Goyish scholars, so to speak. Nowadays, you have people who are believers and people who are not non-believers, and they debate different topics with each other. And most famously, the intellectual of the Goyim of this generation, for instance, Professor Peterson, discussing with Sam Harris and whatnot about a belief system in the world. Is everything created by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, by a higher source? And this fellow, this professor, at the end, reluctantly said, you have a much higher quality of life, he's telling to my sister. And he explained. He said, me, that I don't believe, I have a very hard time with anything that goes wrong in my life. And poor guy went to explain that Rahman Litzlan Nebach, him and his wife, had a child, an only child, that passed away tragically in his 20s. And he said, we couldn't come in grips with it. Why us? What else could go wrong? Right? You become petrified now from life itself. When hit by such tragedy, Rahman Litzlan, no one should know. They couldn't make sense out of it. So you guys, he says, says you Jews, you believe that God has created the world and He governs the world, and that's such a, he says he doesn't agree with it. It's not a belief he lives his life with. What a pity. But it says you guys, you believe, and that is the most calming, soothing thing, that something happened for some reason. For an ultimate good, for a higher, better good. So I can't have that. And it's frustrating, it's painful. And it makes you more fearful from life itself, of what else could go wrong. What's going to be the next thing that haphazardly is going to be brought to you by universe, by Mother Nature, But when a person thinks that this is no mother nature, hateva, the mother nature, hateva is gimatria, is the same numeric value as Elokim, as God itself, as HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because there is no teva. Whose muscles are rippled behind the cover of teva. Beged. Beged is a garment that covers, but also is boged, right? Is Aleph. Aleph is representing Alufo Shel Olam, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Aleph is also 26, a Yud, and a Vav. And then Bet Gimel Dalet is Boged. Beged, the cover is Boged, is a trader. Because you think you're seeing nature, but what you're really seeing, what the Beged is covering is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the engine behind what you see and you think is Teva, is Mother Nature. There's no such a thing. And it took a Goyish professor to recognize that. That you guys live a much better life, much higher quality of life, a life that's serene and secure. Because you know you're in the hands of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You may not understand it, but the fact that you understand it, you don't understand, and it's for a greater good, and it's done methodically. They're not stuck in life. You're placed in a situation, even when it's difficult. You're never stuck. That understanding is powerful, and it's empowering, is tremendous. You understand? Say, okay, I did an avera. This was onish, or it's kaparat avorot. Whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from this. There's something. There's some chokhmah. There's some deeper wisdom and calculation into this. It's empowering. K'mo shkatuv, like Yeshaya Navi says in Perek Mem Pasuk Lamed, "Vayi'afu ne'arim v'yigau bachurim kashol yikashelu." Even when the negativities happen, the recognition of this, okay, there is an element of kapara, there is an element of gilgul, that maybe this is for heshbonot, for kiyakasha, I don't understand. It's such a relief. And he says, when you have hope to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when you're boteach b'Hashem, says Yeshayahu, Yachalifu koach. You bring new strength every day, even despite the difficulties. V'somech tzadikim Hashem. Hashem is the one that stands up the tzadikim, holds them up, even despite the difficulties. Of kinafalti kamti, that a person gets up back again when you know that there is hope. There's never despair. You know, there's an amazing research. We have to end. We're out of time. There's amazing, mind-boggling research about mice that they let them swim and see how long it takes for them before they actually drown, right? And then they did a little switch in this examination, this test, which blew the minds of every scientist in the world. Something that defied anything that is known to nature, which really defines the core element of bitachon in its physical elements, which Be'ezrat Hashem we will discuss in the next shiur. Hazak u'baruch.